Okay, so here we are in a block of Syrah at the Poderesky Vineyard. These vines are trained on a vertical shoot positioned trellis, VSP for short. And we implement a style of pruning here called cane pruning or Guyot style pruning. And it just so happens that we use a double cane or a double Guyot method in here, partially because of the vigor that these Syrah vines put out. So let me just kind of talk you through the setup here, and then we'll prune this vine to set it up for this year's growing season. So this is called head training, and we use the term head training because the only permanent woody part on the vine is the trunk itself, and the trunk is trained up and stops here, which is the head, and then our new canes that we lay down will come out of that head. So when we're looking at this vine, the canes that we laid down at pruning time in 2018 are these pieces here. This is one cane going this way, it's wrapped around the wire there, and then the other cane was starting here and comes up to the fruiting wire here. And all of these pieces, which are now 1-year-old canes, were the green growth from last year, what was giving us our fruit. So what we need to do at this point is cut back to 2 canes, one for each direction. And this vine's pretty straightforward to do that on. I see right here kind of out of the central head, which is the idea. We want to keep the vine pretty compact and not let anything kind of grow out from the head. We want to stay here true to the head. There's 2 canes, 1-year-old canes right here that make for a pretty easy decision to keep. So I'm going to go ahead and come in and cut off last year's cane there. And then on the other side, I'm going to cut off the other one right here to eliminate those canes and just leave the 2. So what I'll do at this point, I'm going to stop video real quick. I'll get this old growth out of the way, and I'll tie down these new canes on the fruiting wires so you can take a look at how it'll look for the season. Okay, be right back. All right, so we got the old growth out of our way here, and we've got our 2 new canes tied down on the fruiting wire. I should have mentioned this block is kind of unique because it used to be a bilateral cordon trained vine that we have brought back to a cane pruning system. So it may not look like a perfect cane pruning system at the moment, but it's definitely making some progress as we move through the years. Anywho, so we've got our 2 canes down. And I did a quick count off video. We have like about 9 buds per cane, and we can kind of go through those. There's like 1 or 2 basal buds right here on this cane. So we'll go 2, 3, 4, up to 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And it's quite similar on the other side. And when it comes to shoot thinning time, we'll probably take these vines down somewhere into the 14 to 16 shoots that will be coming out of those bud sites that we just counted in total. What we need to keep in mind at shoot thinning is, because we need canes, good solid canes to lay down next year, the 2 basal buds here on each of these fruiting canes need to be kept. Those 4 shoots will need to be kept in those positions so that we have some options for canes to lay down next year, pruning 2020. So there's 4 right there, and then we'll go ahead and leave 10 to 12 shoots between these 2 canes on the fruiting wire for our canopy growth and for our fruit for harvest this year. Notes to talk about with this cane pruning. Not only are we keeping our shoot count in check for our cane options for next year, and for our fruit quantity desires for this year. But we also want to make sure we're not asking too much of the vine when we do this. So when we're laying down our fruiting canes during pruning time, we definitely don't want to lay down cane material that's any thinner than a pencil thickness. You can see kind of how it compares to my finger there. We're starting to get a little thinned out here right at the end, so I think it was a good place to make that call on the cane length. So keep in mind your cane diameter when you're laying down your canes. The other thing is, I kind of have pre-pruned some of this neighboring vine. The other thing that we want to be careful of is to not let the cane from the neighboring vine encroach into the headspace of this vine, because what will happen, it will block sunlight penetration and thus maybe possibly cripple the basal bud growth here for our canes for next year on this vine. So we either go by a cane thickness to stop our cane length, or we usually do like a hand width or a 6-inch space away from the head of the neighboring cane or neighboring vine to stop our cane, just so we're not overcrowding the sunlight space. Took another quick minute to prune up the neighboring vine here, just to kind of point out one more little tidbit on this block. I was mentioning the Syrah vigor that we have in this block, and we're choosing to do the 2 canes or the double Guyot method. And so what we have here that's kind of unique and may not be necessarily standard for most vineyards, but something that we've done that we are really tending to like, is we have 2 fruiting wires to tie our canes to. And so we have, from our original vine, we have this cane here that's tied up onto this wire and is going almost all the way over to the head of the next vine. And one of the canes from the neighbor vine is going in the opposite direction and running parallel on the other wire to that other cane. So what happens is we have like 2 canes running side by side, and our canopy is growing up from there. And what we've kind of created is this like split canopy, like miniature split canopy, if you will, that we really like quite well. And it allows us to hold the appropriate number of buds for the power of these vines and the appropriate amount of fruit for the growing season, with the tighter spacing that we have. We're 7 feet by 3 feet in here, and if we only had one wire, a fruiting wire to work with, we just wouldn't be able to keep the number of buds at pruning time that we want to. So anyway, kind of a unique feature to this block where we have these kind of overlapping or alternating canes.